Hello and welcome. Switched on with Joseph Barnett. Thank you very much for listening in. I'll just give you a little bit of an intro of what we're going to talk about today, and I'm delighted we're going to be talking about it, actually. I brought a couple of my buddies in. We're going to have a chat about football. And now I've brought my good friends, Brad and Mike. How are you both doing?
Very good, mate. Thanks for having us on.
Fantastic, thank you.
Good. So, I mean, the reason I brought you on, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is that I find myself not completely disattached with football now, but I find myself sort of, I can't relate to the modern game as how I did with the old game. And I don't know why that is. And I think it may be the implementation of the financial side of it and how the game's changed in a cooperative manner. But what do you boys sort of think? Do you prefer the modern game? I just find the players more softer nowadays. I really enjoyed the game, how it was, back in the early 2000s, 90s, even, well, not 80s, because, I'm a very, very young man. I'm still 34. But what do you got, Brad? What do you reckon?
I'm massively disillusioned with where it's at the moment, if I'm totally honest. Season ticket holder, I have been since 2005. Started going when I was 4 or 5, maybe, with my granddad and my dad. And for me, it boils down to money, but I'm so disillusioned with... Basically, what I've found is I have a season ticket, and the last couple of years, I don't even feel like I want to go. It's a chore for me. And
but why do you think that's because, number one, the cost?
Well, yeah, let's be honest, it is cost. To start off with, you have to say that the full day out is an expensive day in relation to travel, the food, the drink, the actual cost of the ticket. And it just feels like people are making decisions within football that aren't necessarily even into football or have experienced or have a love for the game.
That's a good point.
As you've said, for me, the best time for me going football was maybe early 2000s, middle 2000s, when, I was 17, 18 and you go with your friends and yes, it's the Premier League, but it was just great. There was something about it. You still get your dodgy Bovril and your dodgy burger or your dodgy pie.
Yeah.
But now it just seems to be going away from us, and I feel like we've got no control. We're massive fans of our clubs. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
And we have no control over this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, we're both Spurs fans, and they've built the new stadium, and Mike, you're an Arsenal fan, and how they've incorporated the new stadium with that. Do you find when Arsenal incorporated the new ground, the whole infrastructure there, did you find yourself
Well, it's tough. Like when you build these new stadiums, you are basically selling your soul, aren't you? Like where you come from, where everyone comes from. But I also, looking from the club's point of view, understand we have to do it.
Yeah, but why is that? It's money.
Money.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the working classes and how people are going to sort of relate to the game, go and watch them and everything like that, that takes that out of the equation, doesn't it?
But I struggle. You've got to look at it in two ways, because it does for the working class, but at the same time, do you want to be a super club?
Yeah.
Do you want to be competing in the Champions League? Do you want to be competing for trophies? Or do you want to be, having a stadium that holds 20,000 people, but you're fighting relegation?
Yeah, it's catch 22.
But do you find like football now it only appeals to a certain demographic? Because obviously everyone likes to watch football, but actually, as Brad said, going to the game, buying the brothel. I remember when I went with my old man, and we went there, go and watch Spurs at the old White Hart Lane, and you'll walk up onto the terraces, you'll see the curvature of the pitch.
Oh yeah,
it was so special to me. Whereas now you say you've got like a dad who's just got his son or daughter. They're going up to watch Man United or not Man United, some of the London clubs, especially with Arsenal and Spurs, and they're paying £70 a ticket. You've got to fork out for the food, and is that practical? Is it? And that's why. Is it because people are becoming disattached for that reason?
But I think when you look at it, again, you've got to look at it from the other side of things. Okay, yeah, the atmosphere is not as good anymore. We're paying more money than ever. But in my opinion, the quality of football is better than ever. The footballers are better than ever. So they're demanding more money than ever. And if you want these players to play for your club, what have you got to do? You've got to pay them top dollar.
For me personally, it goes back to when the Premier League first started.
Yeah.
Me personally. And at the time, and Joe, I said to you about that documentary that you watched and I watched.
Brilliant.
And 5 big clubs decided at that time, was it 92 clubs within the Football League earned the same amount of money?
Yeah, so basically, out of 5 clubs, Liverpool, Manchester United, Everton, Tottenham Hotspur, and Arsenal.
That's it.
And they were all of the TV rights. They wanted to watch these teams play, but they were separating that money and evenly giving it out to like Macclesfield,
That's it.
Stockport. Well, how's that practical?
Yeah.
Sorry, Brad. Carry on.
No, of course. So at that time, you can totally understand why these big clubs thought, hang on, something's not right. It's not fair, which I totally get. Also coincide with that, you have to look at all of the Hillsborough, is it Hazel, and then the Bradford City Fire as well.
Yep.
These clubs weren't getting enough money that coming into those clubs, and with the introduction of the Premier League and how much these companies were going to pay for the TV rights, you were going to be able to spend a lot of money on your stadiums, a lot of money on security to prevent football hooliganism. Listen, my granddad went in the 70s and 80s, and from what I've seen on documentaries, it wasn't a nice thing to experience.
We got banned for 6
That's
years,
what I'm saying.
5 years.
We were out of
Well, that's
Europe.
because of the Scousers, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was it?
yeah, it was to do with the Liverpool and Juventus thing, and because of so many Juventus fans died, we got chucked out of Europe. So I totally get why they made that decision, but the problem that we've got is that started a snowball effect, in my opinion, and it was to do with money. And then as the Premier League's gone on, it's always been about money.
But again, look at it from the other side of things. Because of the money, because of Sky, the Premier League has become the best league in the world.
Best or
Most competitive.
Most competitive.
And probably the best to watch.
What, from quality? We've got La Liga.
I mean, yeah, but in a league, you've got, 3 to 5 teams, maybe a quality. The competitiveness is not really there. Like, I mean, look, the other day, you had Aston Villa beat Liverpool 7-2.
Yeah.
Would Barcelona lose 7-2 to, I don't know,
It was a good point.
Gibraltar? I don't know.
I mean, from my own perspective as well, the players and how the rule changes have been implemented. I mean, even if you go back 10 years, you would have a player go up to another player, they would touch him, and it would be like, let's say Vieira and Keane, when they were at it, Arsenal against Man United, and, they'll be kicking lumps out of each other, it'd be a contact sport. But now, it just seems like all of the players are this different personalities.
Why do you think that is, Joe? Though, but this gets discussed all of the time. But a lot of continental and Spanish and Portuguese and Brazilian players, they say that they possibly started that sort of way of playing and maybe being more theatrical. With the introduction of the Premier League, listen, I'm a Spurs fan. I got to see Klinsmann play, right, and that's probably because the Premier League started. But at the same time, they've brought some negative stuff into the game. Talking of diving, that was what he technically was known for. So I go back to. There's so many positives that the Premier League have brought.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I generally feel like there are a lot of negatives now.
But I think, again, I actually do generally think if Vieira and Keane would be sent off every week now. They'd be sent off for every single week. But I actually think now players are so protected, again, for one reason, boils down to money. These players are worth so much money. If you sign Paul Pogba for 80 million, the next day Vieira comes in, goes a knee-height challenge, out for the season. I think that's why the rules have changed.
Yeah, but it's just, rugby isn't the same because it hasn't got as much finances as support as what football has. But football is a contact sport. And when you see a group of men playing a contact sport, you don't expect them to dive for no reason in order to gain a foul.
When you watch a game and you see like these players actually giving it their all, tackling, that's what you want to see, isn't it?
But they can't even tackle no more.
Can't tackle anymore.
You can't even go into a slide tackle. And anyone that's played football, how can you make a slide tackle with your body and go in without your studs?
When you watch a game now,
Makes no sense.
It's rare you'll ever see an actual decent slide tackle now.
And in this country,
it's getting faded out, isn't it?
It is.
In this country, we love a good tackle because let's be honest. When one of your players has gone in, 100%.
Everyone loves a tryer.
Everyone cheers as well.
Well, like Scott Parker for Spurs. He was never the best player, but he tried so hard.
Like as I said, going back, I'm so disillusioned with where the game is at the moment. You cut me open, I bleed Spurs. Honestly, 3 generations. Yeah, cheers, mate. I appreciate that. But I'm totally. The fact that I feel like I can't be bothered to go, and sometimes when we're on TV and it's got to 60 minutes, and I'm like, oh, VAR, there's been these and this and that. I'm like, can I? It's for me. I don't know what you guys think, but I would totally scrap VAR.
But you picked up on it before, Brad. People that are running the Premier League have not actually played football or got a clue about football. And when you correlate that with VAR, and you pick up on the handballs that have been sort of implemented in the Premier League, and I could pick up on Spurs a few times with Son and Dia. Not Son, Lucas.
Yep.
And the propulsion of the body is going along, and they actually can't do anything to get out of the way of it, and their hands hit the ball. How physically can you call that handball?
So,
and how are these rules been implemented? And that, my only sense is the conclusion of that is that it's people making the rules that haven't got a fucking clue
And why
about
do
the
the rules
game.
change so much? They've changed already this season.
yeah.
Right?
For
Changed
me,
again.
let's be honest, right? When we've been away games, home games. How much did you enjoy football before VAR? Do we?
It's made it worse.
Do we need it?
Well, so the point of VAR
I
was
mean, it's stop and start, stop and start. It seems like
100%.
That's
European.
what's so bad.
It seems like
It's like a
Europeans are
rugby
managing
game.
it better.
Would you miss it? Would you, if they said, "Do you know what, we're not doing VAR
I
again"?
think VAR has a purpose, but I think the point of VAR was to stop this controversial decisions. It was meant to be like black and white. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But they're still controversial every single game. Controversy everywhere. I think that it should be used, but in a certain way.
It seems, but as I said before, the Europeans seem to do it on only certain decisions, and then they quickly turn the game over. Whereas we are now getting the ref to look at a monitor. Do they not realise in football tactics, you have the upper half of the game. It matters if the game goes out of play. They stop the game. It completely disrupts the whole momentum.
Everything.
And now you've got them taking what 5, 6, 7 minute breaks.
There was one the other week. Yeah, we're nearly 4 minutes.
So this is why I'm saying I genuinely believe, for me personally, and a lot of people are probably against me, I would totally remove VAR. I don't want it. Listen, I'm a Spurs fan. We got done by Pedro Mendes from the halfway line. The ball was halfway in the goal, right? I've dealt with that.
But if it wasn't
At
for
the end of-
VAR, you wouldn't have got a Champions League final.
But
True.
you're totally. But I'm okay with that in the fact that I loved football before VAR. It was everything to me. Joe, we've been to a few away games. Leon away. We went to Man City away. Those last minute goals. You end up 4 rows in front. That euphoria of like.
Special.
You can't celebrate
Whereas
goals
now,
anymore.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
now
there now.
you're thinking, oh, hang on.
Half-hearted.
Let's hope it's not offside.
It's gonna get,
That's exactly what it
do
is.
that all the time now.
It's very true, and that side of it, I think
You're
VAR
going to
would,
take away the passion, aren't you?
but VAR would be useful for over the goal line. You
Look.
know, when it goes over the goal line, but doesn't a ref get a sense?
But that's already
Yeah.
worked out. We've got
Yeah.
the goal line technology, and it is bang on. I wouldn't change it, and it has been perfect, and it has worked every time, apart from
Once.
the Aston Villa.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's
Sheffield United.
worked. So
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. For me, leave our game alone.
I think there should be. So I do think it does help in certain occasions. But last year when they started going, oh, his toenail or his heel is
offside. It's a joke.
Come on.
It's a joke.
But then where do you stop, Mike?
Well, I think the rule should be
Favour the attacker.
if you watch a VAR, you have 20 seconds. If you can't make a decision, the original decision stands.
But that's for me. That's still going
20
back
seconds.
to someone watching a video.
Yeah, but
It's
if
gonna
it's not obvious,
delay
20
the
seconds.
game.
If it's not obvious, 20 seconds. If it's not obvious,
So, what's your
Ref
overall
decisions.
analysis of VAR? You think that they should implement it and keep it the way it is, or
not
change
keep it the way it is. It needs, but you've got to remember, it is new.
But you're happy to still try with VAR. Be
I
honest.
think we are. I think I am. Yeah, because there are certain things that you think, God, if only handballs on a line. I mean, how can that not? Be? VAR's there. It's fair enough, isn't it? I've seen players handball it off the line, and like, it's so obvious the ref just missed
What
it.
do you think, Joe? See, be honest. With
I think
VAR.
it's counterintuitive because I think with the decisions that are made, you've got the handballs, and you've got it's certain decisions that need to be made, and it goes over the line. That's fine, then the ref gets a signal. But with certain things like handballs that have happened in the box, and other fouls that have been going on, I just think it completely disrupts the flow of the game, and I don't agree with
How
it.
about this? So same as tennis or whatever. The manager or the captain, you get 3 VAR calls a team a game.
FA, you heard it here first.
Is that not a good idea?
Mike Sims is making rules.
I'm better than Trevor Brooking. That's better at football too.
Right, let's go
Is that
on
not a
to-
good idea though?
It's a decent
get 3
idea.
calls a game.
Well, should we then evolve to the UEFA and FIFA, the people that are actually making the decisions, and how corrupt they are?
Right, so this blows my mind. This is a game. This is a working man's game. You know, this blows my mind that it was a thing. It maybe even still is a thing. That the top guys within these big corporations can do this sort of thing. And what annoys me is we're going to have this conversation. 1 billion people have had this conversation. Nothing is going to change.
No.
These guys are too powerful.
Too much money involved.
But every conversation we've had so far until the end of this show that we do will be revolved around money. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's money. Nothing will change. Who was it? Platini got done. What was
Sepp
it?
Blatter.
Sepp
The
Blatter?
FBI got raided the FIFA, didn't they?
Well, that was the Americans, right? So they got involved, right? Yeah, totally.
It's so corrupt,
Isn't it?
and these are the people that are making the rules. I mean, what is it? Sepp Blatter was doing a speech, and he was going on about the Intergalactic Cup, about how they're going to implement football out of. Honestly, Google it if you're listening. Sepp Blatter of the Intergalactic Cup was talking about how they're going to implement football onto other planets. I mean, the geezer's fucking brain.
He was so corrupt. He actually, do you remember when it all kicked off? He actually fled to Switzerland so he couldn't get arrested. Was that right? Do you remember that happened?
Yeah,
he fled to a separate country so he couldn't get arrested by the FBI or whatever
It's
it
all
was.
to do with money. Premier League, what do we want to do? A 39th game. Do you remember when that was discussed?
God,
we'll do a
China or
39th
America
game
or
in
something.
China or
That's
America.
right.
And then you've got the Euros and the World Cup now. Look at how many teams are actually in the Euros and World Cup now. It's way too many. Why do they want that? Because it's money.
Well, it's Champions League has come from that, isn't it?
This is what I'm saying. The Champions League is a perfect example.
Champions League, but you've got teams we have never heard of.
Like Arsenal.
Like Arsenal.
You've never heard of.
What about? Well, that just gives a perfect knock on to the box office things and the Premier League games.
What's been announced
An
recently?
absolute joke.
So yeah, yesterday I announced that. As of end of October, Sky and BT and whoever it's going to stop broadcasting all the Premier League games, and they're going to be just the standard ones you get normally in a season. And to watch a team, it's $14.95 a game.
What? So, obviously you've got the BT and Sky games,
So you know what you
and they're
normally get a
watching the Man
season?
United, Spurs, and
Well, but what I reckon
maybe Arsenal.
What's probably going to happen is it's going to be they'll play Sheffield United versus Stoke, and a pay-per-view will be Arsenal Spurs.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen,
that
isn't
ain't
it?
stupid. Yeah.
And how can you not make the argument that the finances have ruined the game?
To be fair, during COVID, obviously, no one has the option to go and see their team, right? So I don't think I've got much of an issue if it was the individual clubs that had the rights and they went
pay them.
because that money's going to your club. That club's not getting season ticket money at the moment because I haven't paid. I've only paid a deposit to Spurs. Like I'm assuming you haven't paid for a full season ticket at Arsenal. So if that money's going to the club, I don't mind. But the fact that you've got the do you see my point?
I did start to see the side of the Premier League clubs because one of the biggest earners is matchday tickets and revenue from drinks, food, whatever it may be. I started to see their point. I was like, actually, you know what? I think I might agree. Should charge them maybe not £14, £5 or £10 or whatever.
What to the club or to Sky?
Well, hopefully it should be shared out. No, I think it goes to the Premier League and they're going to share it out to the clubs. But then I actually looked at the stats. So all these were desperate for money. They spent 1.2 billion on transfers this summer alone. 200 million.
Who's this, Arsenal?
No, yeah.
In the Premier League, 1.2 billion on players, 200 million on agents' fees. And they're going to charge us, the working class man,
It's bollocks.
to watch the game.
Yeah,
It's absolute bollocks. And I think the point you made about you would pay £15 to your club, I'd be like, piss off.
Yeah.
I'm not paying that to Tottenham. They're owned by a billionaire, and we pay our money to go for a ticket and everything like that. Yeah, COVID's happened, and that's fine. Yeah, it's changed the game. But you're the people that are you're extremely rich people. You manage it. But, the way they've been charging people in the past, the food's going up, the tickets are going up, the season tickets are going up, and they're continually incrementally increasing that. So why should we pay anymore?
That's very true. The amount of money I've earned of us over the years. I mean, you get a plastic bottle of Colesberg and a sloppy hot dog,
And
like
it tastes
15
like
quid.
shit.
I'll have you know that the new Spurs Stadium has some very good gourmet food now.
How's that cheese going on?
No, that ain't there. But the Thai green curry is delightful. Let me tell you that.
Well, I guess
But
it's got a lot of room in those
that in
trophies.
itself ain't right. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember when the first times in the stadium, I remember a couple rocked up to the counter and got a Thai green curry each, and I think they got a glass of like Rioja each. And I'm like, this is football.
We're such a modern day fan now. You see them sitting there in a stadium with their iPad with them, eating a bit of popcorn while there's a game going on.
Do you know
What the hell's that about?
with the obviously everyone's obsessed with social media and phones, and I picked up it on other podcasts. I seem to always pick up on it, but you do see the odd fan now recording themselves cheering.
Vlogs.
The vloggers.
I mean,
I'd love to talk about
I
this.
cannot stand that whole thing. I mean, it'll probably be Joe's next step after this, being a vlogger. But I cannot stand the whole. Why would you go to a football game and
It's just
film
like-
yourself for 90 minutes?
but they're not even watching the game. They're just like,
I know. And a lot of them aren't. They are not. Didn't come from fans back in the day. They've just started going to games to get some
Jumped
kind
on
of
the
fame.
bandwagon.
What does that boil down to? Why do
Money.
they want to exactly?
So they get
money.
YouTube channels.
100%. There's a
What's one of them?
quite a well-known Spurs Twitter page, and he's got about 50,000 followers. And he was, I think it was a Sunderland fan. About 5 or 6 years ago, he jumped on the bandwagon with Spurs. All of a sudden, he's got all of these followers. This person now has better access to the club than I do. I've been a season ticket holder since 2004, 2005.
because he's got loads of followers.
What I'm saying is,
They must have some relationship with clubs.
I feel like he doesn't go to the games either.
Who is it?
He is called Noz Ahmed, I think it is.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
Sort it out, Noz.
Yeah, like
Prick.
what annoys me is I feel like stay-at-home fans and fans abroad have better access to our clubs than we do that pay our money. So, perfect example, and it's really frustrated me. When I grew up, I used to get the odd occasion where I used to go into the Players' Lounge and I got to saw Darren Anderton, I got to saw Teddy Sheringham, right? We don't have that access now, right? Fair enough. Social media, they're worried about. Fair enough.
The culture's changed.
100%. But when we go on pre-season tours of America and that, have you seen the access these fans abroad get?
Yeah.
They were having one-on-one conversations with Mauricio Pochettino whilst they're training. They got to watch the training. Now, if you go to the training ground at Spurs, you've got about a hedge that's 18 foot high. You cannot see in. I pay my money. Why are these? I hate I hate these fans from abroad.
Do you think that's because, from a media standpoint and the sensationalism on the media, if any of the footballers do anything wrong in this country, they're penalised.
Oh, yeah,
if they go out and they do that, they're in the headlines of the paper. If they go out and take a shit, they're in the sun.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because of that they wrap them up in cotton wool and keep them away from the public?
Definitely, because everything you can.
And that's why the foreign.
Back in the day, when my granddad used to go football. We used to go to a game, be in a pub after the
Being a
players, having a
boozer,
beer
yeah.
with Liam Brady or whatever.
Yeah.
But back in the day, if they did it now, and let's just say Harry Kane went for a beer after a game, and he's having a beer or whatever, everyone would be on their phone videoing
They
him.
would.
Yeah.
They would.
No,
Back in the day, you
I
couldn't
get
do
that.
it.
I get that. I do get that. I don't know, like, without trying to sound too emotional, like, this is my club. And when I say my club, I don't
not
mean
anymore,
I'm the
mate.
biggest fan, but it's my club.
Yeah.
And I feel like that I am not getting
Well, it's not owned by
access-
fans anymore, is it?
No,
It used to be
it's
owned
not.
by the fans.
It's
We've got an
corporate.
American owner. You've got a.
South we.
Well,
Whatever he
No,
is.
he's
no,
English.
he's English. He's English,
he
but
owns
he
American
doesn't give a
football
crap
team.
about us.
Joe Louis.
Right, Joe Lewis, yeah.
You look at all
Enoch.
the big teams now; they're all owned by foreign investors and all, not
so-
real fans.
Okay,
aren't
so
they?
do you think that was a big problem then? So for me, the first big thing, foreign owner, was Abramovich and Chelsea.
yeah,
Yep.
change the game.
What do you feel like that had an effect on the Premier League? And
Well, it showed that you could buy the league because
Yes.
they just, some teams, in particular to Spurs, and that's who I can relate to because that's who I support. Spurs have taken a pattern where they sign players, they get it wrong.
Yep.
But with Chelsea, with Abramovich coming in, they sign players, get it wrong, sign.
Yeah.
You're
And
going
then
to
it
get it right eventually. You get a decent
I
manager.
think that's
in
my
there
biggest
who's gonna-
hate in football was when that happened. I mean, Chelsea were a nothing club, really. I mean, they were trying to.
Sponsored by Commodore.
Their stadium was like it had sandy pitch.
yeah, they
had
parked
no stand,
cars behind
parked
their
cars.
goal.
yeah.
Yeah.
And literally get taken over by this oil money. And like you said, they're spunking money. 30 million on Abramovich, on Drogba, 30 million on Shevchenko.
Yeah.
One of them's going to work.
You can't blame them. I mean,
If you're a fan,
if
it's
that happened
fantastic.
to us, if
someone
that happened
offered that to
Tottenham,
Spurs,
If you're a
I'd
fan,
yeah,
I used to
so-
back in the day, I'd rather my club be run correctly.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
now-
having a pop at the Chelsea fans because,
I am.
as I say, if that happened to Tottenham, I'd be like,
I would now, 100%. You would, because everyone else is doing
And also,
it.
there's more
Joe.
Chelsea fans now because of this. There wasn't Chelsea.
course there
Do
is.
you ever know a Chelsea fan? Back in the day, you got people like El and Steve jumping on the bandwagon.
yeah, there are two mates that were literally
They didn't like
just,
football
they're
till
just the worst
2004.
Chelsea supporters ever. They never go to the games, do they?
But when you think about it though, and El and Banton and all of the other worldwide Chelsea fans that come about, because you totally get why. Because at the end of the day, they were heading for success because they were chucking money and money and money at it. You totally get why these fans from
I
abroad
think
are
they had
going to
less league
follow
titles than you
these
before
clubs.
they got that money.
Oh, he started, didn't he?
See, look,
He
I'm trying to
started.
be nice.
You know, we're doing a podcast here, and Mike's already started.
No, but I'm
Just a
saying
bitter ass.
they had no league titles, like one maybe. And look how many they've got now.
But again, you pick up on the finances and the chairmans of and how that's come into the Premier League. But especially with COVID, and it's been going on for a few years now, what about the lower league teams? They seem to be falling on their arse. You've got Macclesfield, you've got Bolton, you've got Coventry that can't find their ground. Should the Premier League be forking out some money because they're drawing in so much
100%.
finance?
Well, this goes back to
Definitely.
the issue, the good things and the bad things of the Premier League. The fact that the Premier League was introduced was good for the big clubs, but it was always going to start to affect the smaller clubs. We've seen clubs go out of business now. I totally think bigger clubs should be helping
Definitely.
these smaller clubs.
Yeah.
Spurs have started. Well, it's minimal, but you see with Leyton Orient with the auction of the shirts and to do with the Justin Edinburgh Foundation, and Harry Kane got involved. This needs to be done on a bigger scale.
Maybe it shouldn't be the clubs. It should be the Premier League
Yeah.
themselves who make, let's just say, a certain amount of billion a year, whatever. A percentage of that
it ain't
would
gonna
have to go to
too
the Football League rather than in someone else's pocket.
Because, you pick up on COVID, and then these clubs have not got huge finance money coming in because of television rights. You mean you look at Macclesfield that have just gone into the National League now? They rely on their gate.
Yeah.
They need people to go and pay to watch them. These are local clubs.
Well, the thing I think about COVID, the worst thing is not only the clubs, the actual local businesses.
Yeah.
If you look at
Exactly, yeah.
Sunderland, for example, Stadium of Light,
Proper town.
we've all seen that program on Amazon.
Great
The
documentary.
whole town relies on that football game.
Does.
All the restaurants, all the bars, all the pubs.
Proper
Without it, they're all closing down. Is it even what goes to Arsenal, for example? A few of the restaurants have closed down already because they rely on match days.
It's happened to Tottenham, didn't it? Did the few of the pubs? Well,
Yeah,
a few of the pubs
I think
only open on
the main
match
thing
days.
is though that Chick King is still there, which is famous around the Tottenham area.
Yeah, that's the guy that does the
Fantastic
food
wings.
tasting.
Yeah, he
on
he
YouTube.
went there. Yeah, he went Chick King. Yeah,
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's sort of picking up on the finances of it, and this is a very much of a negative. I feel that, they should be helping these clubs out, and you can see so many clubs now going into administration, and some that are run really well.
There's some
It's
big
just
teams as well.
Big teams, and Bolton, they were a huge team.
But
at one point.
the Premier League was started to get for the big teams to get more money than these lower teams. I can't see it going back, and all of a sudden the big teams going, oh, hang on, we better help these guys that we tried to get away from 30 years ago.
But do you remember when they
It's
started
not
talking
gonna
about
happen.
creating a Super League with like Arsenal, Barcelona?
But this is what the
and all
Premier
that? They were
League-
trying to get away again, weren't they?
But yeah.
And
Spurs.
this is what the start of the Premier League was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's
but that's
the big
exactly what
one.
it is. There's no difference between the start of the Premier League and then these people talking about the 39th game or a Super League.
Yeah.
The reason the Premier League was started was because of money. These big clubs, Spurs included, Arsenal included, we wanted more money. We felt like we deserved it. It's money, money, money.
What's that financial fair play? I mean,
That's a very good point.
It's a
and
completely.
how- with transfers, what we got to say about that?
Financial fair play is nothing. I mean, when teams got fined, they actually chose their own punishment in that one stage.
Didn't Man City?
PSG and Man City.
They got away with a Champions League.
They got away with it.
Recently.
This summer.
Yeah,
this summer. They was meant to get away with it. They got away with it. But the thing is, what it should be, and what it always was as a club, whatever money you earn, you spend.
Yes.
When
Well, to be
Chelsea
fair,
come in, they started they've not got no money in the bank, but they're spunking 300 million players.
But that gives
any business
what you
should
were
be
picking
run.
up on earlier, and what Brad was saying was obviously about the finances and how that's improved the game. Oh, the football's better than ever. Okay, so what do you think then about the financial fair play, where they're allowed to sign all and sundry and bring anyone in and do what they want financially, but that's going to be at the adversity of the other clubs in the league? So what's your standpoint on that? Because it's a sort of to and from
No,
situation.
you're right. I don't think it's fair that you can spend money you don't actually have.
And with the oil billionaires, that
Oil
run
billionaires.
Man City-
We
this
still
is what
have
I'm
quality. We
saying.
still all have quality in the Premier League, and then other companies clubs are coming alongside and spunking money left, right, and centre. Like Chelsea, with like minus 300, 400 million at one stage. How can an actual business in the world run like that?
Well, they don't. Most football clubs with these billionaires,
Not just a football club.
They
a
don't
business.
make money.
Any
di-
business.
They don't make money though,
It's
do they?
different for us.
It's just like a hobby.
It's different for us though in the fact that Arsenal and Spurs, they're very well run.
Yes.
Right?
They
And
make money.
listen, I don't like Arsenal, but you're well run, and so are we.
Yep.
Another thing that I would like to pick up is, for me, I hate to say it, Arsenal have always been a club with great morals, right? You look what's happened recently in relation... No, but it's true. I hate to admit it, but they have been. They've always done things the
Class,
right way.
always known as class club.
Well, I wouldn't say class, but
Well,
they're,
yeah, well,
they're
it's
right.
true, though.
But you think about it recently, they sacked... How many people did they sack? What, was it 300 people?
I didn't get sacked, got made redundant.
Whatever, right? And then they've gone and spent millions on these players. No, but listen, I'll dig out Spurs as well, right?
Yep.
That ain't right.
No.
We're in a stage now where these football clubs, ones that had great morals, like Arsenal or Spurs, are letting go of these normal...
People that have worked there for 30 years.
30 years, and they've gone, see you later, because we want to go and sign this 33-year-old Brazilian and give him £250,000 a week. Something's got to change in football, because when will it stop? When will there be the first £1 million a week player? It was going to
It's
happen.
true.
But again,
It's said
you look
about
at it from
signings.
the other point of view again, as a football fan, especially as younger ones, you don't really understand what we've seen. Would you rather Dorothy be in the canteen be paid 30 grand a year, or you sign, a brand new, or Bale? Would you rather Dorothy in the canteen, or would you rather Bale?
Yeah, but if you look at Dorothy in the canteen, that's probably going to be making
like Dorothy.
19k a year, and you've got Bale that's making 300 grand a year.
100%.
How is that going to?
I don't see how it's related, to be
How-
honest.
how can it relate?
Clearly.
It's not related, but
They
at
use
the
it as
same
an
time...
And problem is that all the clubs are doing it, and I'm not just
Yeah.
picking out Arsenal, because Arsenal have been at the forefront in the press.
Yeah.
But they've openly stated it as well.
Yeah.
They just said, "Oh, okay."
Joe, they don't care, because for every 1,000 fans, die-hard fans that are fed up with it, there's another 2,000 fans abroad or somewhere else that will pay the money and that will buy
true. So true.
buy replica shirts. They don't care about us. That it's the fans are not important anymore when they should be the most important thing.
But I think COVID has now proven to these clubs that fans are important because look how much they're suffering financially without us. Look how much the game's suffering. It's not the same.
It's very true.
And they're now charging. They need fans so much. They're now going to start charging us pay-per-view. They need fans in their games.
Where do you see?
We make the clubs.
Where do you see it going with COVID? I mean, you've got the restrictions in place. It seems like the virus is going to be with us. It's not going to go.
France and Germany have now started allowing fans back into games. Spain have started. Italy have started.
I think Wembley are going to incorporate. Small.
Community Shield was meant to be the first one.
That's right.
But it got all changed again. In England, it was meant to happen in October, wasn't it? But it's changed again. I think it's going to have to start incorporating it. But do you want to go to a game with 10,000 fans at your stadium? What kind of atmosphere is that going to be?
And how are they going to draw them fans out by season tickets?
Well, it's in a ballot and you apply for it. But would you like to go to a game? You're sitting there on your own. Your mate's, I don't know, 4 metres away.
No.
Let's be honest, though, the atmosphere won't change for Arsenal, will it? 10,000, 30,000, 100,000.
Well, no, absolutely not.
Why has it got so bad over there with the atmosphere? Because of the new stadium and the
it's not anymore. No, at one stage it was, yeah.
Now, can I point out, it is still the same, but at the same time, Spurs are exactly the same as well.
Yes, no. We're not having a pop at you.
No. When you move to a new stadium, and listen, I dug Arsenal out left, right, and centre. When you move to a new stadium, everything changes in the fact that where everyone sits, you're used to those people around you. You create the atmosphere.
Yeah, but you dig Arsenal. How many times have you been to an away game and you've gone, atmosphere was crap?
Yeah.
It's not
Chelsea.
Arsenal's got Chelsea. Liverpool have got a myth. They do never walk alone. Silent for most of the game.
Oh, you're going to piss a lot of people.
It's true though. Old Trafford, I've been there 3 times.
Most English stadiums, atmospheres are a myth.
The good ones are the ones that are like Sheffield United last
Championship.
season. Fantastic. Portsmouth when they come up.
Crystal Palace have a good.
It's like the old stadiums with these smaller, close to the pitch.
Yeah.
Fulham in the old days.
Fulham is too.
Filbert Street, when I went there, that was a great atmosphere.
There's no way Fulham was a good atmosphere. I'm not having that.
It was when the away end for the Arsenal fans.
Yeah,
nice. Well, the old White Hart Lane, I remember, as I said to you before when I went there with my dad, it was so enclosed.
Yeah,
how they
that's
designed
what it was,
it. And they changed it, didn't they? Because obviously what you said before about Hillsborough and everything like that, and they had to make these stadiums enclosed and seat them.
Yep.
But it seems like these old stadiums, they had their character. And you've got Old Trafford that's been adjusted now, but it's still got very close to the...
What about New Wembley? If you go to New Wembley, it's so big now. When you go to the FA Cup final, you probably wouldn't know. But when you go to the FA Cup final, you sit one end. Okay, you've been to a couple of semis. You've been to a couple of semis.
No, we can have it.
You know, you sit one end and you can see the other fans are singing, but you can't actually hear them. It's so big, it just goes out.
Yeah.
Top.
So what's your overall sort of outcome on it then? Do you prefer the game now to what it was, invincible days,
The
Mike?
football is better now. But the actual...
I don't know,
I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the game as much. The game is not as good.
Has the quality of player improved? Probably.
Yes.
The pitches are better.
The quality is better.
I'm not disagreeing that.
The game is not better.
No, but as in preferring the game, I don't know. I'm not so sure.
The football quality is better.
Remember the semi-final, Arsenal, Man United, FA Cup? Do you remember when Roy Keane got sent off?
Yes.
Now, that game was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You don't get games like that anymore.
No.
That doesn't happen.
And they're, in the tunnel and they're at each other. The atmosphere's electric.
Do you know what I hate now? And I hate this so much. When we lost to you or drew with you, and at the end of the game, it was a massive game. At the end, Giroud and Lloris are hugging, all friends. Yeah. I don't want to see that.
No.
I want to see rivals.
Well, you're competitive.
Why are they all friends now?
And that's it. The modern player now. I mean, I don't want to pick him out, but Dele Alli. If you look at a modern player and then you look at sort of Gary Mabbott or Tony Adams or someone that is a proper footballer, someone who's got to stay
loves their club,
loves the club, loyal, is going to go in there, have a proper competitive battle with someone else. And that's what I liked about football, the physicality of it. And it just seems like you look at these modern days, perhaps it's because I'm getting old, or we're getting old, or it might be because we're not up to date with it. But it just seems like these players now are, it's a non-contact. They're sort of pussies.
Do you know what it is, Joe? Now it's a job.
Yeah.
That's what it is now. Who was it? You had
a job that pays very well.
Was it your left back?
Akotto.
He said, I don't even really like football. He says,
and then we got Rose.
That's what it was, though. It's a job.
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, if you don't... These foreigners that come to play for other clubs now, they're not fans of our clubs, are they?
Okay,
they come here for a job.
As Joe said, do you prefer football now?
No,
if you could choose, would you prefer football now? Forget what you won, because you were obviously very successful 20 years ago,
Definitely
right?
Back there.
Do you prefer football back then and the experiences you had then, or do you prefer the experiences you have now?
Experience-wise, back then, 100%.
Okay.
I prefer football back then, the game back then, everything about it, bar the quality back then. And the shirts, because the shirts were terrible.
I prefer it back then. I don't. I have a disattachment to the game now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like you, Brad. I watch Spurs, and I watch some games on the odd occasion. I watched Liverpool last season. I thought they were fantastic, and the way that they were attacking counter-attacking team, I thought they were absolutely superb, and I really enjoyed that. And then other games you would watch, and you just see these players diving all over the shop. They're doing this. They're trying to get another player booked. There's no no gentleman conduct in the game no more. They're told to do this to try and. It happened with Spurs last week with Lamella. And it's disgusting. I don't like to see it.
Yep.
I like a contact sport,
Yep.
and that's what the old football was. You go back in the early 2000s, you go, and I can think of the Arsenals and the great players that with the Keanes and the Man Uniteds and everyone like that, and it was just so much better to watch. It was electric, and the whole physicality being taken out of the game takes some substance out of it, and that's why I don't like
But
it.
we do realise it's never going back.
It's changing
No,
so
it's not.
much.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse.
Like, when
Yeah,
you-
totally.
when you
But
watch-
what my concern is when we take our kids, what's it going to be like?
Yeah.
Mate, I honestly think there'll be halftime shows, cheerleaders. No, not Super Bowl.
Didn't they do that?
I think that'll be.
Well, yeah,
I think it will happen.
Joe, that documentary you watched about the Premier League, where did they take their inspiration from? Was the NFL?
It's going to happen now. The Americans are also investing in Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, all owned by Americans. Yeah. So it's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, Spurs have just implemented a football pitch, a retractable football.
That's what I
That
mean.
frustrates me. It
American
seems
football.
like American sports is getting so big in this
Because
country.
it's money.
When, do you know what I mean? Like,
Shit, you got,
Oh, it's
watching
horrendous.
American football.
It's horrendous.
Stop and start every 5 minutes.
I mean,
You know,
how can you enjoy that sport?
it's all about. Yeah, we know some people.
Yeah.
but it's all stop and start. I don't get it. But what I mean, overall, would you correlate modern day players and how good they were to back then? What would you say the best Premier League players or the players that we've experienced since when it was implemented in '94? Would we pick any modern day players in the best?
I think it's hard, though, because like you say, okay, in the Premier League years, been going for what, 30 years nearly now, Premier League?
92 it
Yeah.
started.
So, yeah, nearly 30, kind of 30 years. But it's hard to compare, because even 30 years ago, when the Premier League first started, compared to what they get now, the diets, the nutrition,
yeah.
the science, the
Yeah,
training.
how good would those players
Everything's
been?
different.
How good
Look at
would
the,
those
if you go to
players
Spurs'
be?
training ground now, Arsenal's training ground now.
It's
Look at
top side.
exactly how good could I don't know Chris Sutton have been
Chris
if he was playing now?
Chris Armstrong.
whoever it may have been. But do you know what I mean? It's completely
Yeah,
different
no,
now.
that's valid.
You as a footballer now, you get a diet, you get fed every day. Back in the day, I'd go to the pub.
Who
have a
is
fag?
who is the best Premier League player that you've seen for your team or not? Be it out of interest.
Henri.
Yeah, he has to be up there for me. I hate to say it.
Arsenal got a few, to be fair.
Probably
Henri, Vieira, Bergkamp.
I'd probably say Henri is up there. Yeah.
For Spurs wise, Bale for me. Blew me
Bale,
away.
and it's fantastic that we've got him back, and hopefully he can show 75-80% of what he had, because
Yeah, Bale was
Spurs
class.
will be a force this season if he does.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there will be a big.
We've had a bet already, mate. What is it? 6 points we can finish above
I
us,
think
right?
they'll finish above Arsenal.
6 points, you said.
I
Above.
think they'll finish points above Arsenal.
No, I'm shook on it, mate. I'm not having it.
Really? I mean, with
They'll be close.
with the squad they've got.
I've got quite a question I'd love to hear you guys talk about, because more and more now I hear fans and I see fans online and people I know that are more armchair fans. They don't really care about trophies. They're more concerned about getting Champions League and finishing the top four. And I'm just intrigued to see what you guys think.
Well, we had this debate.
No, we
before.
have, but I really enjoy this debate. My old man said Champions League over FA Cup all day long.
Spurs.
Your man did.
Yeah.
I'm shocked by
Because
that.
Spurs haven't obviously won a trophy, and it's
I agree.
It's in the media, and we're renowned bottlers apparently.
Yeah.
And we haven't won a trophy in such a long time since the Carling Cup, I believe.
How long's it been?
2008 it was. I think.
2008. But from you pick up on the financial perspective of it.
So now you're talking
But
about
no,
money as a fan.
wait. That isn't the main pushing reason.
Go on.
The main reason is to see Spurs play
the
against the best.
Yeah.
And if they don't finish in the top four, they're going to be playing a Bulgarian Sunday
Like you are
league
this year.
team. Yeah, and you are as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at it from that standpoint, if we don't finish in the top four, but yet we win the Carling Cup or the FA Cup, we're not going to be in that top league where we're playing the Bayern Munichs, we're playing the Real Madrids, and we're making them special nights, testing ourselves against the best. And as a fan, you want to see that. But I think with Spurs, I think the majority, and I'm a minority, would want to see him would see him win the FA Cup.
But I could guarantee you this as a football fan. Okay, every club does differ. I guarantee you in 20 years' time, when you lost to Barcelona at home, whatever, you'd remember a FA Cup final win more,
100%.
and you'd talk about it more.
Yeah.
Sure,
We played away at AC Milan one year,
imagine-
but we won the FA. You talk about the FA Cup more.
Imagine the time we would have, me, you, and all the boys are at Spurs, at Wembley, and we watched win the FA Cup. You know what I mean? You would remember that for the rest of your
life.
days.
You talk about it in the pub beforehand. You used to talk about 1991.
Yeah,
should talk about it
I
now.
don't even remember 91, but that makes me
You know
get
what I mean?
emotional when I see.
But the FA Cup itself, again, you look at it in the olden days.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, completely
And
different. I know, I
they
get that.
used to film
The whole day.
players leaving the hotel. It would be on BBC the whole day, and it'd be shown.
still is
on
now,
there.
by the way.
They would follow them. What, they don't follow
But
them.
not on.
at the hotel.
It's on
Not-
BT.
not-
But they don't.
Not like the
they
old
use
days.
mine.
Not like the old
They
days.
don't-
Not like the old days.
The whole country used to
Yeah.
watch the FA Cup final.
Yeah, but everyone around the
God, yeah.
world,
Yeah.
the FA Cup was massive.
Everything.
And
yeah.
they would follow from the hotel, and they'd have a helicopter, a view of them. They'd come into the stadium. They'd be interviewed. It was like a massive day, the FA Cup final. And now you just tend to and now you see clubs, because they've got all these different games in European games. They play second string teams.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's taken the beauty out of it.
You're talking about. We've been talking about money this whole time, and as a fan, I'm guilty of saying this. The main reason, probably the main reason, when I get in Champions League is, we need the money.
Yeah.
I did say that at the
And
start.
I say it as a fan. We need the money from the Champions League, and we're all talking.
Yeah,
about
because
clubs winning the money.
because it's
We're
a
the same.
stated thing, and it's going to be something that you do want, and it's positive. But overall, you want to see your team playing against the world's best.
You do.
And if you're not,
Not FC Sheriff from Norway.
exactly, and if you're playing in Europa League, playing on a Thursday night, going to bloody Estonia
Well, that doesn't help, but it's on a Thursday night, does it?
No, the Thursday, Sunday,
and Sunday
Europa
thing,
League.
and then
it's a
we've
Sunday.
we've both got that now. It's terrible. It's terrible. But what do we think overall, sort of Premier League this season then? So who have we got? Who are your favourites? And with Liverpool playing so well last season,
I think Liverpool will win the league, personally, again.
I don't.
I know they've had a bad run, but they've got players to come back. Mane didn't play, and he is the probably best player in the Premier League. I'd probably say that, in my opinion.
I disagree.
Mane's definitely up there for me, top three.
Oh,
He's up
He's
there.
up
He's up
there,
there.
yeah.
He's
Top
up
three.
there. I don't
But I think Liverpool. I think Liverpool City will be top two. I know they've had a couple of bad games, but they are by far the superior teams.
I think,
in my opinion,
at the start of the season, I would have said Liverpool all day, and obviously City are massive. But the fact that obviously City have lost, Liverpool have lost, and with some of Spurs' signings, listen, I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but after that Man United game, my nipples started
heard this
twinging
before.
a little bit.
when
I
will
got
you
a
not
little bit
learn? When will you learn?
Honestly,
I've heard this so many
no,
times.
I know, but listen, I'm not saying we're going to win
He
the
got
league.
a nipple twinge.
Yeah, I got a nipple
Oh.
twinge. But what I'm saying is, I feel like we've got as good a chance as ever, really,
Yeah.
Of what, winning the league?
of doing
I agree.
doing
Of
something.
winning the league.
Doing something.
I-
I'm not sure what, Mike. I'm not going to say win the league, but maybe win a trophy or two, or do something.
I think you'll win a league
I
cup,
think
but
we'll
not
be
the
up there.
league.
I think we'll be up there.
Look, it's a long old season, the league.
It is,
It's
and
a long.
everyone.
We've got Europa. Remember that.
If Leicester,
podcast.
if Leicester can do it, why can't we? Why?
They don't bottle it.
Okay, well then, I tell you what, I can't get him out now. 'Cause get him out.
I tell you what.
No,
with
but I'm
it-
being serious. Liverpool, Man City. I know they've had bad results. When you look at it last season, how far ahead were they?
Are their squads that much better than the other teams now, though? Be honest.
I'd say Spurs.
But they've got a
with-
winning mentality as well.
Yeah, that's
yeah, and plus with the manager we've got now, and obviously after that Man United game, and fans tend to be in the moment with football, and football is a marathon.
You're only as good as your last
Football
game.
is a marathon.
Yeah.
You look at it. 1 minute you're winning games, 6 weeks later you're dog shit.
Yeah.
But with Spurs and what they did do against Man United, and plus with the inclusion of Bale,
Yep.
with Son and Kane, if Bale can perform 80%
Yeah.
of what he's got, you can't look past Spurs, because really that's got to be one of the best strike forces in Europe.
Look, I know I'm going to put a damp on this. You're comparing that game against Man United. How bad were Man United?
Yeah, but
And
you
they
can
had
only-
10 men.
Old
You can only
Trafford
beat the
though,
team.
Mike.
You can only beat the team.
I
in front of
agree.
you.
Okay, the week before, who did you play?
We drew 1-1 with Newcastle.
There you go.
Yeah, but
so you're gonna play
we
a team
got
in front
done
of
over
you.
then.
But we should never.
But how
You look at
bad were
performances,
Man United?
you
That
look at
first goal.
performances.
I'm not saying Spurs are going to win the league. What I'm saying is,
you
think-
are.
think-
I am.
No,
No, I'm
no,
not.
I think there's a chance. Why isn't there a chance? If Leicester
Look,
can do it,
everyone's
why
got a
isn't there
chance. Everyone's got a chance.
Thank you.
There's no doubt about it, apart from Spurs.
Well, I mean, so
If Spurs win the league, I'll give you both 50 quid.
Okay, that's recorded. So
that's recorded.
That's how
gonna
confident
be
I
on
am.
YouTube, and you'll owe me about 500 quid. Yeah.
It's all added up, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, the overall game, going to a conclusion, and what we've discussed, and with the modern game and everything like that, I think we come to the conclusion that it really is. It has been affected by finances, and it just seems to be the actual cause of everything and why it's ruined. And I just don't see where it's going, football. I mean, you look at it, and is it going to get more? And as you said, the £1 million wage thing.
It's going to happen.
What's going to happen now is, it's already started, is we, as a football fans now, so take away what's happening now where we pay pay-per-view. We pay for Sky.
Yep.
We pay for BT.
Yep.
We pay for our season tickets.
Yep.
Amazon have now started getting games.
Yes.
How long before Netflix started getting games?
That's what I'm saying.
So true.
This
So
is why
we currently, as a football fan, if you pay for BT, Sky, and all of it, it averages about £1,400 a year just to watch all the games.
one thing
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
One thing
how
I-
can you relate to a
Got
working?
Now TV as well.
How can a working class man afford football?
One thing I will say, I
TV.
think, forget COVID after this and before this, I think football is too geared up for the armchair fan, and it annoys me because these people that have never been to a game have the option to watch everything. And for me, it takes away from the atmosphere at a game as
It
well
does.
because too many people can sit at home and watch whatever they want.
But-
For me, I think there should be less football on TV. And I think we should be pushing people to go
It's
to the
special.
games.
It's
I
special
actually
games.
think-
are
no,
great.
I
it
see
is
it
so
special.
much.
I think this now. I think it's actually going to improve atmosphere. Last 5 to 10 years, I think the atmosphere's been poor. I think it's going to get better because the people at home will be watching it. The real fans who want to will now be going to games. The armchair fans will be sitting at home. So the real fans, it's now be turning around. The real fans will be going to games.
Where do you think the question to you both that the damage COVID's going to do to the grassroots game and people coming up and kids and not being able to play now and the money that's going to be implemented to that? Do you think we're going to see a counter effect 5?
Well, they're letting
6
kids
years?
play now, aren't they?
Yeah, letting kids play now, but the finances and things being backed.
Well, the FA is. They built. What's that place called that the FA built?
Oh,
They all train
I know
out for
what you mean.
grassroots.
Yeah.
It's in Birmingham, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, so they plowed a lot of money into our grassroots.
George.
Yeah, but with
St.
COVID,
George's.
COVID.
But isn't every country affected in the same way?
No, I know.
Oh,
it is, but
I
I'm just saying
don't-
with our
I-
game, and I'm
no,
only
you're right.
relating to our
I'm
game.
hoping that it won't affect him. This time next year, it'll be
I think
kids, especially, will be normal to play football.
I think all Premier League fans, and maybe even Championship fans, should do more for supporting local teams. I honestly think that should be a thing. I've never done it. I've spoken to a few people that have started to go to your
So
local
do you mean
team.
do you mean fans or clubs? So we should support our local team.
I think fans should do more, definitely, as well as the clubs as well. Let's be honest, guys. What's stop? We love football. I love watching football. What's stopping us going to
Last time-
to our local
We
teams?
were going to go to an Orient
Orient
weren't we?
game.
I went to a
even-
Barnett game about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the only game I've not been to. That's not Arsenal.
But even go lower.
It's too
Why
long,
can't
isn't
we
it?
support? I don't know, and go. I know it sounds
What, Enfield?
silly, but go and watch a game. I don't know what it's like, but it's money for them, so these teams survive because
Yeah.
they're important.
No, you're right.
They're
That's
important.
very true. It does. It has an impact on the community.
Of course, it does.
It does, and some of these people, they go and watch them every week, and it is a sort of fantastic sort of situation
Yep.
to have that everyone going to support your local club, but everyone is sort of geared up to the Premier League, aren't they?
But you know what though? I think people
Don't get me wrong, they are
now-
the best players in the world. So
Well, and also it's in your face. You can't look anywhere in the world without seeing Premier
Yeah.
League in your face. Every advertisement, every sporting drink, everything's Premier League. But I think fans are now considering the lower league teams more than ever. I think we're all talking about it more. Maybe not be action it yet, but I think it will happen because we're going to get priced out.
Whatever happens, they
going
need
to certain
some
games.
I think with the implementation of a sort of electronic world that we have,
Yeah.
I just think it'll be more box office, more armchair fan, as Brad said.
But I'm hoping
I think
that
you'll have it the Netflix, as you say, you got the Amazon, and everything will just be streamed.
I'm just hoping
because
though
it's,
that
it's so much money in it.
I'm hoping
There's
that
so
a real
much money.
football fan will
100%.
want to.
Because you can get everyone worldwide buying
Yeah.
into that. Everyone worldwide can't go to the game. Everyone worldwide can
Well, back in the day,
pay money to watch a game.
But
Or
don't like in America, they watch our games that we pay on for subscription, like Sky and everything, for free.
they
yeah,
watch
well,
everything.
Monaco in New Zealand, they all
Same as
places.
my family in Australia. They can see. I remember when I was in Australia, I stayed up till 3 a.m. to watch.
But
a
this
game.
is also
they have
why.
everything.
Do you remember back in the day, 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff that was it.
Yeah.
But now they're geared up for China, for America, or whatever. That's what on Saturdays they've got a 5:30 and an 8 p.m. game. I think in India now.
Yeah.
So you've got 12, 3, 5:30 and 8 because it's geared for other countries. to watch.
100%.
It's not for us.
100%.
And what do you think, as you said, touched on it before, about the Premier League being the biggest league and the best league to watch? Do you think overall skill-wise and talent, the Premier League has the best players, or do you think the Liga is...
Definitely. But look, you've obviously got the odd one that goes to
Because it
a
seems
Messi,
like the
Ronaldo,
Barcelona and the
whatever,
Real Madrids...
a Bayern Munich.
I think the best players play for those teams, but
Yeah.
as a league, as
Yeah,
a whole,
100%.
the Premier League is the best.
We've just taken Atletico Madrid, one of their best players, from a Champions League team
Nah, he ain't the
to
best.
us. No, I said one of. Yeah, what? I mean,
Trippier is their best.
well, yeah, exactly. He is one of their best players. That's what I mean. They've signed Trippier, who Spurs didn't want.
Yeah, but that's crazy. He must have been out of favour because Oreo, we got him replacement.
I think-
But you always have the odd one. The Barcelona, Real Madrid, they're probably the two biggest teams in the world. Them, Man United, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, probably the big five.
They buy our best players.
Yes.
That's it.
Facts.
If you're a
And
player,
that's where, let's
you
say,
can't say no
if
to certain
Kane
teams.
left,
He's going to go to one of them.
he's going to go to one of them, isn't
Because he is the greatest all-round striker that the Premier League has ever seen.
I don't think you can argue with that.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba now is at Man United has said his dream is to play. He's playing for Manchester United. His dream is to play for Real Madrid.
What do you think of the overall United thing, though, there? Because obviously you got Solskjaer that's gone in there, and you had Mourinho before. It seems like there's a really, really bad atmosphere going on there. It seems like it's the players, and it's instilled in that atmosphere, and it doesn't matter who goes and manages them. There seems to be a problem.
Who's the guy that runs it?
He was the one.
Woodward.
So he clearly hasn't got a bloody clue what's going on. But I read this week, all of Ollie's targets, not one was signed. Not a single player.
Yeah, they had a chance, didn't they? They've done well last season, and they had a chance to try and sign
was it
some
Sancho? They've said that Man United were playing poker with Dortmund. It was never even for sale. They were offering 100 million and go, no,
Problem with
105,
United is-
okay. But it was never ever for sale. The
With
whole
United
time.
is because they're the biggest club in the world, and they
Probably
are.
still are, yeah.
If they ever want to buy a player, that club knows that they are the richest club in the world, so they will put a premium on that player. If we went, I'm fairly confident that if we went for Jadon Sancho, that we wouldn't get quoted the same amount of money as what Man United have been quoted for.
Yeah.
We get
Because
yeah, it does happen.
I'm right in saying Man United are the richest club in the world, right?
Yeah, because if they have huge.
Well, it depends. It depends what you talk about. You talk about profit, own.
Well,
It's all different.
I
what's in the
think
bank?
with merchandise and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
this.
yeah, they're ridiculous.
What you earn, gross
so-
earnings, Man United. Yeah.
And it's crazy how, since the Ferguson era, how they have gone downhill.
Yeah.
And it just
been
shows
fantastic.
you what a good manager he actually
He did
was.
leave them in a bit of a pickle though.
He
'cause that
left
last
them
squad was a bit
terrible.
Yeah,
iffy.
but what he done
Ages.
with that squad the year
Oh,
before?
I agree.
But
You're
look,
right.
it was an
you're
aging
right.
squad. That was all at the end of their careers.
Yeah,
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Let's not be silly. He took them as far as he could.
Yeah.
He was meant to retire back in the day, weren't he? But he added a few more years.
You're right though, but for me, the greatest manager of
Ferguson.
100%.
Can't argue that.
Wenger's up there.
It's
but-
up there. But look at
Wenger-
Ferguson's trophy.
Wenger's up there because the way he changed the game in this country.
But so-
He come in and talked
And he-
about all of the
and he did it without
nutrition.
all of that.
And he did it without money.
So he has to be up there.
Yeah.
And obviously you go back. Obviously we weren't about, but the Shankleys and all of that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
really know about them. Bill Nicholson obviously changed the way football was played as well. But I don't know them. But from my experience, the two most influential managers of my time
Definitely.
has to be
Mourinho has to be up
Ferguson, Wenger, and Mourinho. But you got to remember,
But
Mourinho
Mourinho-
had an endless pot of money.
Yeah,
He did.
Yeah, Wenger did it with no money at one
Yeah,
stage. didn't he?
Wenger. You know, I hate
And
to
you're
say
right. He
it.
come over and he was one of the first managers to give players diets. And
Yeah.
it trains
What's
them
he
to-
trying to implement in the new?
Oh,
I don't know what he's trying
no,
to do.
can we
Steve, but
talk
look-
about it?
Well, look, look, mate. He clearly. I don't want to be rude, but he's at the end of his career at Arsenal a long time before he left, weren't he?
Yeah.
And he's now. I think he's just trying to make a name.
Yeah, wasn't
Talk
it-
about him again.
FIFA, what is he now?
FIFA, not president. Is
Wasn't
he?
it the-
He's
or wasn't it-
executive of some sort?
all
He's
of-
trying
all-
to cut off all his new rules. He's trying to change VAR.
Corners
again.
are allowed to go out of play and then back
If it's
in.
a throw in your half, you can kick it in. But
'Cause
why
you
change
look-
something that's not
But you
broken?
look at it, and you look at the game historically with the offsides and how things have changed with throwing back to the goalkeeper, the 5-second rule, and how a lot of tactics have changed. Is this something with modernisation that we're going to have to get used to? Is the game going to continue to evolve, do you think?
Look how bad. Look, there's certain things in the game that need changing. Things like what he's saying. Throw-ins don't need changing, do they?
No.
Change
I
things
don't
that
think it needs
need
changing.
changing.
Are we just getting old, though?
What's that saying? Is it too many cooks spoil the broth?
It is,
This is
yeah.
exactly what's happening with football. Leave our game alone. Okay, I cannot reiterate that enough. Leave it alone. Let us enjoy it. I'm fed up with these stupid rules and
But
things
you say
coming
that.
into
But we
play.
do say that, and again. But if you go back to the 80s, you could pass the ball back to the goalkeeper. Who could pick it up?
Do you
And imagine
there
that
wasn't
now.
offsides.
Imagine that now.
There wasn't
and then
offsides
back
in
then
the
they were going.
60s.
Imagine now you're playing. You're 1-0,
I know,
and they pass it back to
I know.
goalkeeper. Back then when they changed the rule, and I must be going, oh my god, how they changed
But
these rules?
I can only talk about my experience as
Yeah,
I've known
I
football.
understand that.
Do you know what I mean?
But you know they changed the rule a couple of years ago. It was the goalkeepers, our defenders can receive the ball in the box now, and the goalkeeper's got a goal kick, can't they? But that was a new rule, wasn't it? 2 years
It
ago.
was, yeah, you
That's
can
quite a
do
good
it.
rule.
Yeah, it is a decent
So
rule.
some of these rules we hate them at the time, but they do make sense.
What was the one where they said that they could run for a penalty and take it from a penalty spot? No, it's from the halfway line. And they tried to implement that in the competition, and they run with the ball.
And they did when the MLS first started.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how they did
penalties.
their penalties. They ran from the halfway line, and they just
And they kept calling it a touchdown.
yeah, like come
They didn't.
on.
What's that rule? So if you took kick off, you had to have two of you and kick the ball forward. But now you can pass it to anyone, which makes sense, doesn't it?
Is that when? Do you remember Henri and Perez tried to do the?
That was a penalty.
Yeah.
And so Neymar's tried to do that as well.
Yeah.
It worked though.
It
when they
worked.
did
It
it. Yeah.
worked just.
I was there that day. I was there that day against Middlesbrough at home.
It didn't work.
No, No, Neymar's one did.
Oh yeah.
I was there against
I was
Middlesbrough
gonna say,
at
I was
home.
gonna fight
Oh my
you
god.
across.
All right, so I think we've got a general sort of consensus of what we think about the overall game and how finances have improved, and in a negative way and a positive way. Let's get down to the nitty gritty as we wrap it up. Spurs and Arsenal.
Here we go.
Well, there's no competition, is it? It's a stupid argument. What's your argument?
Well, what's your argument then?
Well,
they're bigger.
It's one superior club.
Well, listen.
I don't know how you can relate that though. I don't.
More trophies, more success, more fans.
Arsenal. Well, okay. Arsenal are the bigger club in relation to trophies. I cannot argue
And
that.
fans.
One thing you need to know is, as a club, though, you've got nothing about you. Nothing about you. And Spurs have everything about us.
Well, let's just backtrack a minute ago, because actually, if you rewind this video, you said Arsenal associated with class.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's being edited out.
no, seriously, I can't argue. I cannot argue the size of the club because you've won a lot more. My favourite thing about Arsenal fans, growing up, me and Joe experienced Arsenal being a lot better than Spurs. You won leagues and we won nothing. What I quite like now is how that for me we are on par / maybe even better. Even though the trophy's fair enough, I get that, right? But I love it how all of a sudden we matter, because back then we didn't matter. Now we're in the conversation.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah,
you know
you're
what I
there.
mean?
No, you are.
And back then you didn't care about us.
There's no denying Spurs have improved a lot,
Yeah.
and we've gone the other way.
Yeah,
so
I
we've
agree.
kind of now met in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's one thing that Spurs fans will always be associated with, and you've done it again today, and that's delusion.
Not at
At the
all.
start of every season, I've always heard, "Are we going to win this?
No,
win
not
that?
at
Win
all.
that?" And
Football's-
even today, you've
No,
told me you've got a chance.
no.
to win
I
it.
hope
No.
we can look back on this podcast.
Oh my
and luckily
God.
enough, it'll be published.
I'll move.
and
I'll
it's gonna be
move. I'll
filmed,
move. I'll move to
and
Australia.
we actually win.
Do you know what? Do you know what really annoys me about rival fans? Right, football's about dreaming. What's the point of me
Yeah,
supporting a
it's
team
true.
Listen,
and not
listen.
not going at the start of the
As a
season?
football fan-
I think we can win something.
As a
You're
football fan,
shouting me
it's-
down for saying that we might win something.
It's
That's
football fans.
crazy.
It's the hope that we love.
Of course,
But I'm going from experience.
of course.
Spurs are not going to win that.
Of course. Listen, we were the first non-league club to win the FA Cup, first club to do the double, first club to
European.
win a European trophy.
Yeah.
Back then, we could have said the same about Spurs, but we did that. There's nothing stopping us now. I'm telling you now, right? I'm going to start crying in a second because we're going to do it, lads.
It'll make great, it'll make
What are you
great
gonna win
camera.
this year?
It'll make great TV. Please
No,
do it.
I would be really happy if we could get the FA Cup this year and a top 4. That'd be a dream
fantastic
for me.
Spurs.
That really
That'd
would be a
fantastic.
dream.
What are your goals for Arsenal? Do you think?
I don't think we need a trophy this year, but we need Champions League.
Yeah.
Because we've had that.
You had
You know,
the
we
FA
talked about.
Cup.
You know, we talked
Yeah.
about earlier. Certain clubs need. When we won the FA Cup that year, we had gone 7 years, about 9 years over it being, because we were
Yeah.
used to it. We needed that FA Cup more than Champions League that year.
Yeah,
Whereas now we need Champions League more.
yeah, I agree.
I think every club's different.
Yeah,
They
I
are.
agree.
Like Wigan, for example, they won the FA Cup. They'll never ever forget that.
Yeah.
I think they would win that.
And they went down the same season, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
So they won the FA Cup and got relegated, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Birmingham beat us in the League Cup final.
They got relegated,
So
yeah.
Unbelievable, unbelievable, lads.
basically, one more Wigan are more successful than Tottenham, right?
All right, okay. Wrap it up, Joe. Joe, wrap it up.
Again, there's so much being cut out of this. Lads, it's been absolutely fantastic to speak about this for a good hour that we've had, or just before an hour. And I'm going to wrap it up. It's been fantastic. Thank you for coming on.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate
Joe.
It's
it.
been great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for listening in and tuning in to the next episode. Thank you. Cheers.